Imagine waking up one day, stepping outside, and realizing something is terribly wrong. The air feels strange, the sky looks distorted, and an eerie silence blankets the world. That's because the Earth has stopped spinning. At first, it might not seem like a big deal. After all, we don't feel the Earth moving beneath our feet. But in reality, our planet is rotating at an astonishing speed of about 1,670 kilometers per hour, 1,037 miles per hour, at the equator. If that motion were to come to an abrupt stop, the consequences would be catastrophic. The immediate effect? Everything not bolted down to the ground would continue moving at the Earth's original speed. That means the atmosphere, oceans, and even you would still be traveling at over 1,000 miles per hour. The result? A colossal, worldwide disaster. Buildings would crumble, trees would be ripped from the ground, and cars, trains, and people would be hurled into the air like projectiles. It would be like a global-scale car crash, except there would be no survivors in many regions. But let's assume that somehow humanity manages to survive the initial impact. What happens next? Without rotation, the centrifugal force that slightly bulged Earth at the equator disappears. This means Earth would begin to take on a more perfect spherical shape. The redistribution of mass would cause the oceans to rush toward the poles, drowning vast areas that were once dry land. Entire cities, including New York, Tokyo, and London, would be submerged beneath water. Meanwhile, the equatorial regions would become dry wastelands, exposing previously hidden seabeds. The weather patterns we rely on would be thrown into chaos. Right now, the Earth's spin influences the Coriolis effect, which is responsible for directing winds and ocean currents. Without rotation, winds would no longer flow in predictable patterns. Instead, massive superstorms would form, driven by extreme temperature differences between the now permanent day and night sides of the planet. And that's another thing. Day and night, as we know them, would cease to exist. Currently, one full rotation of Earth gives us a 24-hour cycle of daylight and darkness. But if Earth stops spinning, one half of the planet would be in constant sunlight, while the other half would be trapped in eternal night. The sunlit side would become unbearably hot, turning into an uninhabitable desert, while the dark side would freeze under sub-zero temperatures, possibly resembling Antarctica. Life, as we know it, would be forced to migrate toward the narrow twilight zone, the thin strip between night and day, where temperatures might still be bearable. But even here, survival would be a struggle. Crops would fail due to extreme conditions, ecosystems would collapse, and humanity would be on the brink of extinction. However, this scenario assumes the Earth suddenly stops spinning. If instead the planet gradually slowed down over millions of years, life might have time to adapt. The redistribution of water and land would still occur, but plants, animals, and even humans could develop ways to survive in these new environments. Yet, even in a best-case scenario, Earth's magnetic field would be severely weakened. Right. Now, our spinning iron core generates the magnetic field that protects us from deadly solar radiation. If the Earth stops spinning, this protective shield would weaken or disappear entirely, exposing the planet to harmful solar winds. The atmosphere would gradually erode and radiation levels would rise, making life on the surface even more dangerous. Even if humans somehow survived, we would face an entirely new and hostile world, one where every aspect of life would be dictated by an unforgiving environment. But before you start worrying, rest assured, there's no known force that could suddenly stop Earth's rotation. The planet will continue spinning for billions of years, gradually slowing down at an imperceptible rate due to tidal interactions with the Moon. So, while this scenario is fascinating to explore, it remains purely hypothetical. Still, it makes you appreciate the delicate balance that allows life to thrive on Earth. The next time you step outside, take a moment to appreciate the invisible forces at work. the rotation that gives us night and day, the gravity that holds us in place, and the magnetic shield that protects us from space. Because without them, life as we know it wouldn't exist. Now, let's go even deeper into what would happen if the Earth stopped spinning. One of the biggest long-term consequences would be the complete restructuring of Earth's geography. Right. Now, the equatorial bulge caused by the planet's rotation keeps ocean levels distributed the way they are. But without that force, ocean water would flow toward the poles, exposing vast stretches of land at the equator while flooding northern and southern latitudes. If you live in countries like Canada, Russia, or parts of northern Europe, your home would likely be underwater. Meanwhile, new continents could emerge along the equator as the receding waters expose previously submerged land. Places that were once coastal, like Brazil or Indonesia, might become entirely landlocked. This redistribution of water would also alter the composition of Earth's atmosphere. The newly formed oceans in the polar regions would generate extreme weather conditions, leading to mega hurricanes and superstorms. The land masses near the equator, now barren and dry, would experience sandstorms similar to those on Mars, as strong winds sweep across the exposed seabed. But perhaps the most terrifying change would be the collapse of Earth's ecosystems. Right. Now, ocean currents regulate temperatures across the planet. They transport warm water from the equator to the poles and bring cold water back down, creating a stable climate that supports diverse forms of life. If the Earth stopped spinning, ocean currents would grind to a halt. This would disrupt the delicate balance that marine life depends on, leading to mass extinctions. Coral reefs would die off, fish populations would collapse, and the entire oceanic food chain would crumble. On land, things wouldn't be much better. The lack of rotation would cause permanent climate zones to form. The half of the planet facing the sun would be a scorching wasteland, with temperatures exceeding those of modern-day deserts. On the opposite side, the eternal night would turn regions into frozen tundras, where temperatures could plummet to hundreds of degrees below freezing. Plants and animals that rely on seasonal changes for survival would struggle to adapt. Migratory species like birds and whales would lose their navigational cues. Without the rotation-driven weather systems they depend on, they could go extinct. Humans, too, would face the ultimate survival challenge. Cities built on coastlines would either be underwater or abandoned due to extreme climate conditions. Nations would be forced to relocate, leading to unprecedented conflicts over habitable land and resources. With food supplies dwindling and fresh water becoming scarce, civilization as we know it could collapse. But let's assume that, against all odds, some humans managed to survive in the twilight zone, the narrow region between perpetual day and night where conditions are relatively stable. Life here would still be harsh. The lack of ocean currents and atmospheric circulation would make rainfall unpredictable, turning agriculture into a gamble. Societies would have to rely on artificial food production, underground shelters, and advanced technology to maintain any semblance of normalcy. Even so, survival would become increasingly difficult as Earth's magnetic field continues to weaken. Without a protective shield against cosmic radiation, DNA mutations and increased cancer rates would become widespread. Over time, the very genetic fabric of life could change, potentially leading to the evolution of new species better suited for this extreme environment. In the worst-case scenario, Earth could become a barren rock, stripped of its atmosphere and resembling Mars. But let's not forget the Moon. Earth's rotation plays a crucial role in its relationship with the Moon. If the planet stopped spinning, the gravitational interaction with the Moon would shift drastically. Currently, the Moon causes tides by pulling on Earth's water as it orbits. With no rotation, tidal forces would change dramatically, potentially leading to more extreme tidal flooding in certain areas. Over millions of years, without Earth's Rotation to stabilize it, the moon could drift away, eventually escaping Earth's gravitational pull. If that happens, Earth would lose its only natural satellite, which would further accelerate the decline of its atmosphere. At this point, Earth would be nearly unrecognizable. What was once a thriving blue planet teeming with life would become a hostile, desolate world, one side scorched under relentless sunlight, the other locked in an icy darkness. But as terrifying as this scenario is, the good news is that it's purely hypothetical. There is no known mechanism that could stop Earth from spinning suddenly. The only way for rotation to cease entirely would be if an unimaginable external force, like a massive asteroid collision or an advanced alien technology, somehow drained Earth's rotational energy. However, the Earth is gradually slowing down, just not in a way that will affect us anytime soon. Due to tidal interactions with the Moon, our planet's rotation slows by about 1.7 milliseconds per century. At that rate, it would take billions of years for the Earth to stop spinning completely, far longer than humanity is likely to exist. So, for now, you can rest easy, knowing that our planet will keep spinning, providing us with day and night, stable weather, and the life-sustaining conditions we often take for granted. The next time you look up at the sky, remember that the forces keeping Earth in motion are essential to everything we know and love. And as long as our planet keeps turning, life will continue to thrive.